Life can sometimes feel like an endless struggle. There are periods when simply getting through the day requires tremendous effort. While the people around us may see a smile, success, or confidence, they often cannot see the battles taking place beneath the surface. This is the story shared by a member of the fastereft community who chose to speak openly about his personal journey toward greater peace, self-understanding, and emotional freedom. His experience is not presented as a guarantee or a universal solution. Rather, it is an inspiring example of how one person began looking beyond the symptoms of his struggles and started exploring the deeper emotional patterns that influenced his life. Through that process, he discovered principles that helped him move forward in ways he had never imagined. When the visible problem is only part of the story, for years he struggled with behaviors that seemed impossible to control. Like many people facing similar challenges, he initially focused all his energy on fighting the symptoms. The more he tried to force change through willpower alone, the more frustrated he became. Over time, however, he began to realize that the behaviors themselves were not the true problem. Beneath them existed deeper feelings of shame, anxiety, insecurity, and unresolved emotional experiences. What appeared on the surface was often an attempt to cope with pain that had never been fully addressed. Discovering fastereft, his perspective began to shift after discovering the teachings of Robert Smith and the principles of fastereft. What stood out immediately was the emphasis on creating peace with the past rather than constantly fighting against it. Instead of seeing himself as broken, he started exploring the possibility that his mind and body were simply responding to old experiences in the best way they knew how. This change in perspective became a turning point. Rather than focusing solely on eliminating unwanted behaviors, he began working on the emotions, beliefs, and memories connected to them. The process was not always easy, but it allowed him to develop a deeper understanding of himself. Healing starts with self-awareness. One of the most valuable lessons he learned was that lasting change often begins with awareness rather than resistance. Many people spend years criticizing themselves, trying to force change through guilt, frustration, or self-judgment. Yet, these approaches rarely create lasting transformation. By learning to observe his emotions without constantly fighting them, he found a new sense of clarity. He became more aware of his internal patterns and more capable of making conscious choices instead of reacting automatically. Growth beyond the original challenge. As his emotional well-being improved, he noticed changes in many other areas of life. His relationships became healthier. His confidence grew. He felt more present and engaged in everyday situations. Challenges that once seemed overwhelming became easier to manage. This is something many people describe when they begin working on deeper emotional patterns. The benefits rarely stay confined to one specific issue. As inner stress decreases, energy becomes available for creativity, connection, and personal growth. Taking responsibility without self-blame. A central principle he found within the fastereft community was the idea of personal responsibility. This does not mean blaming yourself for everything that has happened. Instead, it means recognizing your ability to influence how you respond to life's experiences. While we cannot change the past or control other people, we can change the relationship we have with our memories, emotions, and beliefs. That realization gave him a greater sense of empowerment and helped him move forward with more confidence. A message of hope. The reason he chose to share his story was not to convince others that his path is the only path. It was simply to offer hope. Many people spend years believing they are trapped by their circumstances or defined by their past. Stories like his remind us that meaningful change is possible. No matter where you are today, growth begins with a willingness to look inward, understand yourself more deeply, and take small steps forward. Transformation does not always happen overnight, but every step matters. The journey continues. Personal growth is not a destination. It is an ongoing process of learning, healing, and discovering new possibilities. The most powerful changes often begin quietly, with a single decision to stop running from your emotions and start listening to them instead. Because true freedom does not come from changing everything around you. It often begins when you change the relationship you have with yourself. If you would like to explore emotional healing, personal growth, and the principles of faster EFT more deeply, you can find additional resources and ebooks that may support your journey. Enter my store.